Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You have tuned into the Rebel News live stream panel discussion on this, a Friday, July 31st, 2026. Coming to you from Rebel News World Headquarters in Toronto, I'm David Menzies, and out on the left coast, well, I'm joined by my co-host, Drea Humphreys, in beautiful British Columbia, Vancouver to be precise. How you doing there, Drea?
I'm doing good. I love when you say the date, because the news keeps us so busy. It's just a firm reminder of where I'm at. It's the weekend, so I'm doing really good. Happy Friday, everybody.
Well, you know what? I'm feeling a little melancholy by announcing the date of July 31st. That's all she wrote for July. Where did the month go, Drea? And summer's going to be over soon. I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but what's going on here?
That is a good question. There's a theory, the older you get, the faster things go, and it's because you're learning less. That's the theory. When you're young, you are always like everything you're experiencing is a learning experience, and so it seems longer. So the older we get, the faster it is. But just message to our viewers, in case this is your first time or you've forgotten, what I love about the show is that you can be a part of the show. So this is our Rebel Roundtable, meaning we're going to have a guest who David will announce in a minute. But just to let you know, if you're watching on YouTube and you want to weigh in on what we're talking about, you want to let us know breaking news or something like that, or just give a comment, you can do so by leaving us a super chat. And if you donate $5 or more, that goes directly to helping our journalism stay strong. And if you're watching after the fact and you still want to help out our journalists, you can donate by leaving what's called the super thanks on YouTube. And if you're watching on my preferred platform, which is Rumble, they stood up for free speech. And if anything goes down like the COVID era, they'll do it again, I'm sure. So if you're watching on Rumble, you can leave us a Rumble rant. Much appreciated.
Well, there you go. Thank you so much, Drea. And also in British Columbia, folks, our extra special guest, that would be BC Conservative MLA David Williams. How are you doing there, David?
I'm doing great. A little bit smoky here today, but it's still summer, so nothing to complain about.
Now, the first thing that sprung to mind when I saw that you were going to be our guest, Dave, you're not the famous Dave Tiger Williams who played in the NHL for the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Vancouver Canucks back in the 70s and 80s, are you?
No, I used to get that a lot. In the olden days, I used to get that a lot. I'm probably as old as him, though.
Okay, there you go. I love that guy. When he was traded from the Leafs, I actually bought a Vancouver Canucks jersey back when you wore those garish V jerseys that were yellow and orange and black. I mean, it looked like something you'd wear for Halloween. I got a lot of abuse at high school for that, but anyways, I digress. Well, I'll tell you what, Drea, I'm going to hand it over to you. There's many stories swirling around the BC Conservative Party. And of course, this is your bailiwick. So here you please speak to Mr. Williams. And as you mentioned earlier, folks, if you want to join the discussion, please chime in. And at a certain level of donation, we will indeed read your query or comment. So over to you, Drea.
Well, that's right. Never a dull day in BC politics. And if you have the pleasure of getting some of your breaking news on X, like I have to as a journalist, since that's the biggest, political platform, if you will, my head hurts from what's been going on, what's been said about the BC Conservatives. So I'm so happy to have Mr. Williams on the show today. But before we get to, some of the caucus rumors, if you will, why don't we start with something that's near and dear to some of the constituents, or many, I guess, in your riding? You represent the Shuswap and Salmon Arm area. We can pull up the CBC article here real quick to get everybody up to speed with what's going on there. So BC restricts water usage on Salmon River watershed amid severe drought. So this is impacting a lot here. Order issued to protect endangered Chinook salmon by restricting water use for certain crops, industries. Now, I've done quite a few reports on how the recreational fishermen and sports fishermen are really concerned about these restrictions. A statement from the water ministry says the river has shown persistently low stream flow despite what it's described as significant voluntary conservation efforts. And I'm just going to scroll down about how much is impacted here. So it says the temporary order takes effect on Tuesday and covers 456 surface water and groundwater licenses. So that's a lot of licenses. That's what the government is saying. Tell us what the people are saying and what you know about this issue.
Well, the people are certainly not happy about it. We are suffering drought conditions. There's no doubt about that. But this is not the first year that we've had hot weather. This is an ongoing thing every year. And in that valley, there's a lot of agriculture production, and whether it be dairy, poultry, people growing food crops. And so food security is a big issue, right? People always say, hey, buy close to home, buy Canada or, whatever. The thing is, dairy farmers depend on corn crops for their feed for the winter. And so for some of these producers, it's going to cost them thousands upon thousands of dollars this winter if they don't get irrigation between now and September, or this restriction stays in place for a week or two, right? Because their crops will dry out. Now, saying that, the current government, the NDP, have had how many years to deal with this? This isn't the first year that we've had hot weather. Long before I was elected, actually, I did a town hall regarding this very issue, saying that we definitely should be looking at solutions, right? Canada does have lots of fresh water. What the problem is not being able to find a system to store it. Last night we had an emergency town meeting in Silver Creek, which is, part of the Savannah River area, and a big turnout. And the people there, we had the Cattlemen's Association, and they're actually working on a project for water storage. But these projects, they should have went ahead years ago, right? We shouldn't be talking about this year after year, right? It's really important for our economy, and it's really important for our sovereignty to make sure that we have food security, right? So I think it's a very important issue, and it's not just here. This is happening in multiple places, right? It's just that, we got the temporary protection order this week, right? But, there's other areas I've heard of, in Vernon and Coldstream, whether it be berry crops or whether it be orchards. So
yeah, that's what I'm hearing too. Vernon, they're how are we going to grow our crops? If you restrict us this much. So very concerning. And like I said, the fishing industry, we've been covering how it's been getting these ban threats, and there's a whole debate over, really how much Chinook is in the area, and if you will. So glad to be spreading some attention to that. But speaking of attention, you guys have your new party leader, Carrie Lynn Finley, adjusting in. And just as the polls seem to be showing a loss of approval for David Eby, the leader of the NDP, therefore the leader of our province, bam, just so much is being said about Ms. Finley's leadership, about what's going on, what isn't going on in the caucus. And I can't even go through all of it on the Rebel Roundup. David, you better fasten, you're both David. So David Betsy, you better fasten your seatbelt to keep up here. But first, let's start with the claim that was going across mainstream media. And that was that, one of the first order of business for Miss Finley was to order you guys to no longer use the word First Nation and instead say Indians. What can you tell us about that?
Well, I can tell you that I'm on a leadership team, and so you would think I'd be the first one to get the memo. There was no such memo. There was no such instruction, and I think it's rather silly, actually, to even. I don't know where this came from, but obviously there's people working overtime, right, thinking these weird things up, because there's no way that a memo came out, right?
So you didn't get a memo saying, "Hey, you no longer use the phrase First Nation."
And I'm the interior lieutenant, so you think I'd be one of the first ones to say, hey, you know what? Here's a memo what we're going to do. So no, there was no such action.
So bizarre. Now you say you don't know where it's coming from. And I can't say, you know, the initial source, but definitely someone who's very quick to put out a lot of the claims that we are seeing is Mr. Jazz Johal. So he, I believe he's formally now with Global News, but he's also, we have one tweet from him there that we can show, if you can find it. He's also a former BC Liberal NDP, sorry, maybe that's a foreshadow. He's a former BC Liberal MLA and also journalist. And he's very quick to get a lot of these claims out. And then it seems shortly after he tweets them, you've got the mainstream media talking about them as well. And so I've seen the directive one on here. Here's another one. So we're seeing a change in leadership happening here. One of that change is Mr. Ian Patton, who has sat down from his lower mainland lieutenant position. And so he says the Delta South MLA was appointed June 29th, a tenure of just 1 month. Apparently he's seen enough. So we're going to talk a little bit more about who's moving around and things like that. But what do you make of that there?
Well, there's nothing to that story again. So what happened is that when Carrie Lynn set up the leadership team, she set up 3 of us as lieutenants, and basically we do a little outreach and attend things when she's unable to. You can't be everywhere in the province at the same time, and so a lot of times events will come up, like where I live in the interior here, and because I'm pretty central and I'm also pretty connected to the region, that it would be only suitable for me to actually go in her replacement and speak on her behalf or represent her, right, or represent the party. So Ian was going to be doing the same thing down in Lower Mainland. She never specifically laid out our role until about a week ago. And with Ian's a very well-respected, great MLA, and he has an elderly mom. He also has a farm in Delta. And so need you say any more, he has a lot of time commitments. And so when he realized that how much time it would take, he decided that it probably wasn't the best bet.
Yeah, so you're saying he just got that information.
For him to take that role because he couldn't give it at all, right? So he actually went to, he went to Carrie and told her that, you know what, he wouldn't probably fulfill the role. So that was all there is to that.
Yeah, what you said there matches a lot of what he said on X as well. I just shared the link. So while, again, you've got the mainstream media going in a frenzy over this, it's like, why don't you just reach out to the person and get the statement? But he has given a statement. He says pretty much what you said. And at the bottom, he clarifies, he says, this decision has nothing to do with any disagreement or dissatisfaction with the Conservative Party of British Columbia or its leadership. Leader Carrie Lynn Finlay is a longtime friend who continues to have my full support, and I remain committed to serving the people of Delta South and helping our team. So again, there's just like, I can't believe how much seems to be getting thrown at your leader right now. It feels like it's election time, and it's not. No,
it seems like they're still running the leadership campaign, right? So some people just can't accept, right? They can't accept. I feel that there's an awful lot of people or certain teams that certainly can't accept the result, and for whatever reason, like, they move on and they have their own agenda. So they keep throwing the mud at the wall, will stick.
Yeah, it really does feel, from a journalist perspective, like it's an election time and you're going through all the mud, what's true here, what is just for show. But something that is true, and a lot to talk about this, is that Mr. Angelo Isidoro has stepped down as, I believe he was the executive director. And so that has been shocking to many people. I've reported kind of how, the BC Conservatives came back to life out of nowhere, and he was certainly instrumental in all of that. And he's put up, his own statement about why he's left on X, and he claims toward the bottom of it, Well, he said something like he left on mutual and amicable terms, is I believe what he said. But of course, the Jazz Joe Halls in the world are speculating something crazy is going on here. It is a big shakeup. It is a big move. What can you tell us about that?
Well, to tell you the truth, it came as a surprise to me as well. I went to a baby shower with Angelo here about a couple weeks ago. He did tell me that, like he would probably like to do something different in the future, right? And we discussed a couple of things, right? And basically, I guess they made a decision that he wanted to do something different, right? So, Angelo has been a really good friend. I owe him a lot because in the beginning there was very few of us, right? There was a handful of people, and Angelo was one of them, leading the team. And so he played a very integral role in the party. But parties change over time, they evolve. So it's not surprising. And people actually have other ambitions as well. So you'd have to speak to Angelo directly and see what he wants to do in his future, right? But I don't know what his plans are.
Yeah, that's good. We'll have to reach out. I saw some people saying, hopefully he's not going to center BC party to help them. I don't think that that's a move he'd be doing. But for those who haven't caught them, it's this party. It's not an official party status, but strange things have happened in BC, right? The BC Conservatives were not official party status before 2022. And look how many MLAs you have. But it's a party that's claiming that it is the option for the centrists between two extremes. So saying the BC Conservatives are extreme and the NDP are extreme, which I would agree. And the leader, what I think is so ironic, is the leader of the party is Mr. Mike Bernier, former BC Liberal MLA, who, proudly signed off on SOGI, which is, has put very extreme sexually inappropriate materials in our schools. So nice center option there. I'm just going to go to one more thing on this. I can't address everything that's being said. I'm so glad you came on the show for people who are going, what's going on? She's just getting started. What does all this chaos mean? Another sort of narrative, if you will, that came out. We have, I believe this, let's see. Oh, that's the wrong post. My bad. I'm trying to find Dr. Anna Kindes, who's also an MLA with the BC Conservatives, tweet there. And this is, oh, sorry, guys. Actually, why don't we play a little bit of the audio one? And I think you spoke to that, Mr. William, because I can't find the tweet I was going to show. Efron, can we show that audio of what the mainstream media is saying about Finley avoiding them? It's right on, here, just give me a second. Because this is one of the other things they're trying to say about her. And I know, Efron, it's one of the last few that I sent there. But one of the things that happened is she agreed to do an interview with Ezra Levant with Rebel News, and that was in order, and then there was technical difficulties. So no, she's not avoiding. She's trying to do stuff, but sometimes things don't happen.
No, she's certainly not avoiding the media. The thing is, so if media is going to give you a fair shake, she probably feels like the fact is that it's always good to reach out to the people, but on the same token, if they're going to taint the interview to the left or to whatever to suit their narrative, you're probably better off not doing it, right? So I would have to say I actually do that myself. The thing is, so sometimes people reach out to me, and there's probably they're never going to give you a fair shake. So why would I want to help them to sell subscriptions or sell a paper or sell any kind of media? So the thing is, all I care about is fair, unbiased reporting. And Kerry feels the same way.
Yeah, you raise a very good point there. That certainly can't be easy as a conservative politician in Canada over the last, I don't know how many years. To think that our mainstream media, our legacy media, the one with the tax backing, is going to treat you fairly, especially during times of election. We'll play that little clip. It's from the Mike Smith show, And you've already spoken to the fact they're saying, no, she's not avoiding the media, but let's hear what they're saying about it.
Other outlets have received similar letters or communications.
And I would give her a fair interview, of course.
Yeah.
But I've continually asked, including yesterday, and so I think she needs to sort of come forward and say something or do something.
Well, no, I mean, it's up to her. She doesn't have to. I mean, there's no law that requires her to speak to the media.
Oh, that's true.
And that's her decision.
Yeah.
There are consequences for that, which means the public doesn't really get to know you or see you, and maybe that's a good thing for them. Maybe that's their strategy, is to not make her visible. But she is not really. She gave an interview to Black Press.
Yes, right.
Which is the only one I've seen of any outside of fringe media.
Yeah.
But others have been turned down flat.
Okay, let me
other outlets.
The left loves that word, fringe. You should know, if you're watching, that there was a study, I think it was out of the US, about most influential media online in North America. Actually, no, I think it talked about the BBC too. And Rebel was above global news. So fringe me this. but yeah, that's what they're saying. And then in the same sentence, he says she did an interview with Black Press, which, is all over the country. And, usually if you think you're reading something from local news, it's really under Black Press. So how is that avoiding the mainstream? So.
Well, let's start with the first one. Obviously, they're out of touch, because when they turn around and say the fringe media, just like you said, everybody I know, they don't go to mainstream media because, number one, they don't trust it. And the fact is that they're just not very good, right? So you're probably going to get more accurate information and more unreal from so-called other outlets, right? So I would say that these people are so out of touch. That's number one. And that's probably why most of these mainstream media places are failing, right? So it's only a matter of time before things are going to change in the media world significantly. We can all see the writing on the wall. Again, and it really goes without saying that, again, if you're not going to get a fair interview, you're not going to do an interview, period. So simple as that. And when more people stand up, and when it comes to anything, you start standing up, then things have to change. Simple as that.
All right. Yeah, good point. Now, what can you tell us about what it really has been like so far? You've had some time under Ms. Finley's leadership. Before, you were under Rustad's leadership and then the interim leader. So what can you tell us about what it's really like being under her leadership, and what the caucus is like? Is there unity? Because that was a problem that she would have had to address coming into it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Party unity, well, ever since we got elected, we came out of nowhere, right? So the thing is, it's really hard to get a ragtag bunch on the same page, because everybody has their opinion. Everybody got in for the right reasons. Everybody wants to change the world, and everybody wants to do what's good for BC, right? But not everybody are on the same page about how to get there, right? And the fact is, a lot of us didn't realize how a party works. So usually when you get elected, they already have like 20 elected people already. So we came in fairly inexperienced, depending on a lot of people, the few people that did have experience. And I thought we did pretty well. Now, saying that, under Carrie Lynn's leadership, we've been very unified, right? They turned around and said that she's AWOL. We've actually had a caucus. We went to a retreat in Penticton. I thought it went great. She's met with every single MLA because she has the attitude that she wants to actually know everybody individually. And I think that's signs of a good leader. The thing is, the part that most people don't see, I do, because I'm on the leadership team, and I supported her during her election bid, was the fact, and that's part of the reason I endorsed her, was the fact is that Carrie Lynn is actually a very funny person. Like she can get me laughing like nobody's business. When I first met her, I was cracked up, right? But on the same token, she's a very tough woman, right? She's a very strong leader, and so she's not going to take no guff. So if the media don't give you a fair shake, she's going to call them out on it. So, and if people are going to turn around and keep coming at her, she'll go back at them. So the thing is, she's very, very tough that way, right? So I think, and for these times and for where we are in the party, we need that. Even when it comes to staff changes, like there's been nothing radical when it comes to staff changes. Everybody brings in the people around them that they know they have loyalty. And if you don't, you're in trouble. So, and other than that, the regular staff to the ledge really hasn't changed. A lot of people, their contracts were up. They moved on. They, much like Angelo, they decided to move on. It's not like they were turfed, right? So again, don't believe what you read from mainstream media, right? Ask the people that are actually in the trenches, right? They'll give you the truth.
Well, and that's what we hope to do soon. Like I said, Ezra was going to be doing an interview, so I'm sure we'll set that back up with Miss Finley, and he or myself will be able to ask her some more questions, some hard questions. And I've asked her hard questions before, and she hasn't shied back from answering them. But thank you so much for giving us some clarity. I'm sure lots of people were fascinated to get the other side of the story on the live. Where can people keep up with what you're doing and how you're representing your constituents and beyond?
You can catch me on X at David Williams MLA, or you can just Facebook me, right? David L. Williams. Also on Twitter, Shuswapland. David Williams at Shuswapland. So yeah, lots of ways. I'm one of the easy ones to get a hold of. Right?
That's great. Well, thanks for being back on Rebel News. I think they're probably going to go into an ad break, but it was a pleasure to have you. And then back with myself and David.
Thank you. Okay, goodbye, and have a good day.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. My best-selling paperback launched a few months ago. Now the ebook version is finally here. Independence Blueprint, What Alberta Can Learn from Quebec, is officially available for download. Before Quebec's 1995 referendum, Quebecers didn't just argue emotionally about separation. They asked practical questions about what came next. What happens to pensions, currency, trade with the rest of Canada, borders, citizenship, Indigenous relations, debt sharing, and even international recognition. And unlike what we're currently seeing in Alberta, Quebec actually created commissions, held hearings, heard expert testimony, and worked through those questions completely in public. That's what this book is about. Independence Blueprint digs into the serious groundwork Quebec did before its referendum and explores what Alberta can learn from that process today, whether you support independence, greater autonomy, or simply want to understand where this conversation is headed. Because if Alberta is going to have this debate, and we are, it should be an informed one, not just whatever panic-driven talking points the CBC throws together to terrorize you over the dinner hour. Download the ebook today at independenceblueprint.com.
I've got a big announcement. Rebel News Live is back this fall, and we're coming to 3 cities: Calgary, Vancouver, and Toronto. Rebel News Live will be in Calgary on Saturday, October 31st at the Carriage House Hotel and Conference Center. Then we're heading to Vancouver on Saturday, November 14th, and then on to Toronto on Saturday, November 21st at Canada Christian College in Whitby. 3 cities, 3 incredible days, and I want to see you there. Now, if you've never been to one of our live events before, let me tell you what it's like, because I genuinely believe there's nothing else like it in Canada. We've been doing these gatherings for years, and every single time without fail, the thing people tell me afterwards, the thing they remember most isn't any particular speech, as good as the speeches are. It's the feeling in the room. It's walking in and realizing you are surrounded by hundreds of Canadians who think the way you think, who care about the things you care about, who've been watching the same stories you've been watching and asking the same questions you've been asking. People who have felt, frankly, a little bit alone in their communities and who suddenly realize they are not alone at all. That is what Rebel News Live is. It's a convention. It's a family reunion of sorts. It's a day where you get to be yourself completely without apology. And once you've experienced it, you keep coming back. Our attendees know what I mean. We have regulars. Now, who's going to be there this fall? I'll be there. Sheila Gunn Reid will be there. Tamara Leach will be there. And the Rebel News team will be joining us. Over the coming weeks, we'll be announcing some additional very special guest speakers. And trust me, you're going to want to hear who's coming. Stay tuned. Here's what the day looks like. Doors open at 8 in the morning with a light breakfast. Then a full slate of speeches and panel discussions, the kind of conversations you would never see on the CBC. Catered lunch, More speakers in the afternoon, and for VIP ticket holders, an exclusive dinner with me, Sheila, Tamara, and our guests at the end of the night. And in between all that, we've got a full merchandise store on site, Rebel News toques and hoodies and mugs and books. And yes, I will be there to sign them, and we'll have other sponsors and exhibitor booths from some of the best freedom-oriented businesses and organizations in the country, people you want to know about, causes worth supporting, and groups doing the real work on the issues that matter. It's worth showing up early to spend some time at those booths before the speeches begin. It's the best gathering of freedom-minded Canadians anywhere in the country. I've been saying that for years, and I keep saying it because it keeps being true. Now, I need to be straight with you about one thing. These events sell out every single year without exception. If you wait too long, you will not get in. I've seen it happen. I don't want it to happen to you. So here's what I need you to do right now. Go to rebelnewslive.com and get your tickets at the early bird price, because that price will not be around forever. Calgary on October 31st, Vancouver on November 14th, Toronto on November 21st. Pick your city, pick your date, and get your seats locked in before they're gone. There's nothing quite like spending a full day in a room full of Canadians who actually get it, people who've been watching, who've been following along, who are in this fight with us. I'll see you there. Go to rebelnewslive.com. Get your tickets at the early bird price before they sell out.
In Canada, firearms owners like me understand the importance of safe, effective self-defense options. That's why we're proud to have Byrna as a sponsor. Byrna's less lethal launchers are designed to help protect you and your family without taking a life. Byrna offers peace of mind, accessibility, and a practical layer of personal security for Canadians who value safety. Learn more at byrna.ca/rebel. That's byrna.ca/rebel.
For generations, many Canadians have preserved more than just firearms.
Many of our men and women
They've
clad in
preserved
uniform.
history, tradition, competition, memories. But under Trudeau, and now Carney, heirlooms, estates, collectibles, and competition firearms now have to be surrendered and destroyed. While violent gun criminals get pass after pass, openly ignoring any legislation, lawful gun owners are trapped in an increasingly unfair legal system. But we can help. Canada's National Firearms Association's Save Firearms program offers the legal pathway to preserve what matters, while we work towards a political solution. Don't let yours be next. Save history. Save heritage. Save firearms. Visit nfa.ca today to learn more.
Welcome back. And Drea, before we get into some other pressing matters, I just have a short ad read. Guess what, folks? Rebel News and Resistance Coffee have partnered up to bring you something special to wake up to. Resistance Coffee is an independent, family-run Canadian coffee company, and while the big chains wrap themselves in the flag and turn their backs on Canadian workers, we've been quietly doing the right thing all along. That is to say, exceptional coffee roasted right here in Canada by people who actually believe in this country. Wow, what a concept. This is Resistance Coffee's special strong and free roast in a Rebel News edition, available only on this page. Pour a cup and pour it proudly. 5-pound bags and bundles qualify for a $9.99 flat rate shipping nationwide. And why buy? Generally Canadian owned, roasted, and shipped by a Canadian family business, not a multinational, once again, hiding behind a maple leaf. Seriously good coffee, strong and free, is Resistance Coffee's most popular roast for a reason. Bold, smooth, and built for everyday drinking. Your values in a cup. Every order supports independent Canadian businesses and independent Canadian media at the same time. Buy yours today at rebelcoffee.ca. That's rebelcoffee.ca. And you know, Drea, if you're like me, there's another fantastic element to the timing of this beautiful blend, and that is I can't go to Tim Hortons even if I wanted to. I'm under a lifetime ban for every Tim Hortons in Canada. My crime, did I assault somebody? Did I vandalize the premises? No, folks, we asked impolite questions, and this is how the Brazilian hedge fund running Tim Hortons operates. What a disgrace. So, great timing. That's what I have to say.
Great. Let me just quickly tell you, it was pretty awkward in the mummy circle when there was the suggestion to go to Tim Hortons a few weeks ago, and I was like, no thanks, can't go there. I had already boycotted it a long time ago, but it was funny that I just couldn't go.
Yeah, it is amazing, and some of the Tim Hortons outlets, there's one in BC, there's one in St. Catharines that we've confirmed. Think about this, folks, in terms of pettiness. The trespass ban against me, and it's not just Tim Hortons, it's their drive-through, their parking lot, and landscaped areas. They will call the cops on me, if you can imagine. But that legal letter is posted in some Tim Hortons stores. I've never seen such a thing. It doesn't bother me, Drea. I mean, I'm wearing it as a badge of honor, but what do you make of that?
Well, yeah, they did it out in BC, but, you know, by the time I got there, which was like the next day to cover it, they had removed it, I think, because the locals were like, what the heck is this? Because the locals were the ones telling me, like, that they were offended by it. So that was so unwise of them to plaster it on the front of the door. So
yeah, especially since it's all about us calling Tim Hortons out on a lie that they were going back to hiring Canadians. At the time, we saw some 90 postings on the federal government job site taking advantage of the temporary foreign worker program. What a disgrace. Anyways, let's move on. This is really something. It's breaking news. It's mass migration in Spain, and it's not something the Spaniards want either. Drea, I believe we might have a team flying out as early as this evening to cover this. What do you make of this infusion of unwanted guests from Morocco?
I think it's terrifying. I think your first instinct is like, oh my gosh, like what if this happened here? You know, we've got the ocean, which helps and things like that. But can we get, let's get some of that footage. Look how many men, military-aged men, are flooding in from Morocco, I believe it is, into Spain here. That's terrifying to me as a woman, as a mother, and I feel for the people there.
You know, Drea, you are absolutely right. Why is it always military age young men? Where are the women? Where are the children? They don't exist. I mean, going back to, I think it was 2018 when Efren and I went down to cover the caravan in Mexico. It was a few 100,000 people moving north. They were going to cross into the U.S. Via the border. Thank God Donald Trump was serving his first term because nobody got in. But one of the biggest lies, and it was worth the trip for Efren and I in the first place, was that the media kept reporting, the mainstream media, that 50%, right, of the migrant caravan were children. Now, maybe if your definition of children is over 30 years old, I guess that's a lot of kids. But we saw almost no children, and we were embedded for a week with that caravan. But again, if there is some kind of humanitarian crisis that's in Morocco, why does it seemingly only affect young, able-bodied men?
Yeah, exactly. You would be seeing women, children. I mean, that's how it should be. If there really is a crisis, let's get the kids out of here, right? Let's get the future out of here. That is not what we're seeing. Something else that should be noted is where they're coming from. You know, you're seeing an influx in religion change here too. So it's about 99% Muslim too. I mean, it's worth noting. And that's who's flooding in here. You have Muslim men flooding in. There's some other footage. I don't know if we have any of it. There's already what appears. I mean, we're from afar, so thankfully we have a team going. Hopefully the viewers are going to support the costs on that. It's quite the trip. But so we'll be able to know more accurately what's going on. But based on the footage, it looks like, you know, crimes are already on their way. It looks like stores are already being looted. You know, windows are already being broken. And you can see what appears based on what we're seeing. You know, the cops are just, you know, looking at them all going, what can they do? What can they do with that many people? And you have this left-wing government that has all but welcomed this to happen.
Yeah, that is the problem, because what a country that is serious about being a country would do, Drea, is call in the military and turn these people, these invaders, back at gunpoint. If you can't ensure border security, that is the minimum benchmark, I should think, of what a nation is all about. But you know what? Speaking of lefty lunatics, I was going across social media this morning, and I think the most outrageous commentary, I sent it along to Efren. I don't know if you received it, but okay, then maybe we can put that up on the screen. You're not going to believe this one. It's from somebody called Regina Rinne. She is a professor of philosophy at Toronto's York University. Here's what she writes, quote, "This is supposed to be scary, but honestly, what it reminds me of is photos of people celebrating as the Berlin Wall comes down. They look happy, not scary," end quote. Fact check, when the Berlin Wall came down, basically that was East and West Germans, who were always known as Germans before the Berlin Wall, having reunification. It wasn't tearing down a wall so that tens of thousands of uninvited guests from another nation could come in. Can you imagine someone who is so stupid with basic documented history is in a position to influence young minds at York University? And I think, Drea, this is another example of, as I've said in the past, the most important book of this year, folks, and please buy it if you can and read it. It's so good. It's so smart. It's Godsod's Suicidal Empathy. And yet again, I hate to be racist and sexist, but we have another white woke woman who is oblivious to the downside of mass migration from, let's face it, nations that might be, culturally incompatible with the West. It's astonishing to me.
It is, but you know what? I'm not surprised to see her in that position. We've been seeing this in many ways over the years, that in universities, that's who's running the show. And actually, I did a report on how it started, you know, maybe like 30 years ago, how liberalism changed, because let's face it, what's liberal today isn't what liberal was yesterday. And it was impacting the universities, the next leaders, and then that's just only gotten worse and worse and worse. But yeah, that is such a dumb comment. Of course they're happy. They are happy. They're happy that they're staying. That's what they wanted to do, and that's what they're successfully doing, and they're happy about it.
But you know, Drea, how is this mob going to be managed? I mean, there's literally no place for them to sleep, right? And I guess what I'm wondering is what the end game is, even with a leftist government in Spain. Are they just going to invite them in and, I don't know, start building housing? You know, maybe it begins with massive tent cities like a refugee camp. Or are they going to say, sorry, you can't come in here. You are, by definition, an illegal alien. You are breaking the law just by setting foot onto Spanish territory, rather. So how do you think this plays out?
Well, I was briefly looking into that, so I don't have all of the answers, but my understanding, based on what I did read earlier, is they have in Spain the policies that they're not going to get them out because of what their policy is when this happens. So don't quote me on this, but I believe it's something. I'm actually just reading a post here. But basically, they can claim asylum, and they're all allowed to remain in Spain for about 2 to 3 years and wait until the process goes through. So they already know that they're going to be there for a while they come, and that as far as the government goes now, it's left-wing government is probably going to accept a lot of them. So they're trying to stay for now, it would seem.
And you know, Drea, in the Department of Sheer Unmitigated Gull, aka Chutzpah, as you mentioned earlier, they're in the country for barely an hour, and we're watching this video. They're already looting stores, smashing windows. Who in blue hell, I don't care where on the political spectrum you are, who thinks this is the kind of citizen you want to bring in to your country? And as I said before, they're already committing a crime just by being on Spanish territory.
Well, I mean, and also there's the why. Like, why is this happening? Why is this happening all at once? Why is it all men? Why are they coming in trucks and boats all at the same? Like, who's actually behind that? Who orchestrated this invasion? And what is the intent behind it? That's what I actually want to know, because understandably, the people there now are going to be on guard. How are the local men going to respond to this? What are we going to see go on over the next few days? That's where I ask the question, why? What is the intent behind this? It seems suspicious to me.
That's a very important question, Drea, because this doesn't just happen by putting up a Facebook statement. Hey, everybody, join me at the beach. We're going to mount an invasion. There's obviously been some very serious logistical planning, and it'd be fascinating to find out who's behind this, right?
Yeah, that's what we need to dig for sure.
Yeah, and hopefully if we do get our team out there, we'll get the truth, because as I found from the Mexican caravan, if you were getting your information, Drea, from CBC, you were not getting news. You were getting a fantasy. And Efren and I uncovered what the truth was there. But, if Spain wants to commit cultural suicide, I can't think of a better way than to welcome in those hordes.
Oh, gosh. Scary.
All right. So we should move on, I should think. Oh, my goodness, there is just so much to get to. How about, this is always a bit of an interest for me, trans issues. And we have an X post from Jonathan K. It reads, some of you remember Harriet Mackenzie from the fawning genderwang profile that Bruce Arthur, he's intolerable, did for the Toronto Star. It now turns out he's not just a fake woman, but also fake Indigenous. So he's twice as stunning and brave as even Bruce imagined. Of course, Jonathan's riding that tongue firmly in cheek. But you know what? He might have crossed the line, Drea, because I go back a few years ago. Remember Rachel Dozell, a white woman passing herself off as black. And by the way, not to mock black people, she was infatuated with black culture so much that she wanted to be black herself. Well, she was on the end of cancel culture. Evidently, you can pretend to be the opposite gender, but you cannot pretend to be a race that you do not belong to. So do you think with Harriet, air quotes, do you think this is a bridge too far, that the people, even the pro-trans people, are going to go, oh, no, you can't pass yourself off as a fake Indian. That is verboten. What do you think is going to happen?
It just shows the utter hypocrisy. I think the bridge has already been crossed. So what's the difference? And I remember the report I did about this sort of LGBTQ space that was having a rap concert, and that lady went, she's white presented, she's actually mixed, but she looks just Caucasian. and she had dreadlocks in, and they wouldn't let her in. So she wasn't even trying to be another race. And, you know, the LGBTQ community won't accept her because she has dreadlocks in her hair. So it's just showing all the hypocrisy. I put a little clip there. I actually responded with this clip to Jonathan Kay's post. But let's just show Harriet McKenzie on the UVic college basketball team, what it looks like. Harriet is playing with the female players. Like, I put it in the chat too. But Harriet is 6'2". Do you have it? The link there? Anyways, Harriet is 6'2", and you can just see the young women flying, bouncing off of Harriet. I've done many reports on this player. I had not seen the Indigenous claims, so I will look into them before I make any claims about them. But I'm happy to cover it. And yeah, take a look at this just real quick. So our great editors have circled it and everything. But 6'2", and the great story was when I was covering what was happening with the Christian. You don't have to wait for me to stop talking. You can play it. There's no volume. There you go. Yeah, it was the Christian basketball team that stood up. Their coach stood up against this and said, "This isn't safe for my girls to play on." She was disqualified. That was out of Abbotsford, Columbia Bible College, and it was like somebody should do a movie on it, because Harriet was dominating everything, and somehow that team, they lost their coach. She wasn't allowed to coach them anymore. It was so sad, and they just used that, and they got better and better and better, and they actually took out this team in the very end at Nationals and won. It was like, you know, Netflix would never run that story, but it was one of those great sports movie type things.
You know, Drea, it's outrageous. If you are someone who supports so-called trans women, that's a man pretending to be a woman going into female sports, you're not being inclusive. You know what you're being? You're being a misogynist. You are hating real women, because there is an obvious physiological difference between men and women. That's why, with the exception of equestrian and auto racing, men and women are separated in different divisions for a level playing field. And what I find out unbelievable is, where is the feminist movement on this file, Drea? They are AWOL. And I think whatever wave of feminism we're on right now, it's one of two things. To speak out against trans women, that's too third rail. I don't want the scorn from the usual lunatics. Or they actually believe trans women are real women. I mean, that's what I found out a couple of years ago when we went out to Fergus, when you had that man, Ash Davis, playing rugby against biological women and hurting them. And the other females, I was not ready for this. They were, chanting trans women are real women. They were perfectly fine with him brutalizing the other female players, and we were the so-called haters. I am just beside myself why this is being tolerated.
Oh, that was so shocking, that coverage you did. And Ash Davis, correct me if I'm wrong, you'd remember better, was like the heavy hitter award. Correct. Or something in the men's league of rugby. We're talking rugby here. This is insanity. And, the feminist movement, there are some real feminists out there, like with Cosbar, the ones that, rented the billboard truck, and there was, they ran the ads during FIFA saying protect female sports. So there still are some feminists out there, but you're right, it's two tiers now, and it seems misogyny for the win for the other half of that.
Yeah, and, you saw with that copy there, some of the players in between telling me to F off were saying, what is a biological female? And of course, the police were called. And at a subsequent event, go ahead, Drea.
Sorry, Ash was on their team, correct? Doesn't that mean they're winning and doing well? Isn't that part of it? Or was that the other team telling you?
The other team members would usually cower in fear of taking any stance lest they're cancel cultured, which speaks volumes. But when you look at Ash Davis, I mean, good grief, he's unlike Busty Lemieux, he's not even trying to pass himself off as female. Male pattern baldness, Adam's apple, a bulge where one should not be if you are a real female. I mean, what? And look at this. All these women are going hysterical. That's his wife, by the way, or her wife. I got confused because I think at one point I said, so he's identifying as a lesbian? I can't figure it out, Drea. So in any event, I think, like great Canadian coach Linda Blade says, if you want to accommodate this madness, fine. A separate division. So you have male, female, and other. And anything goes in the other division. Maybe you identify as a rhinoceros. Who cares? You know what? You put that on a pay-per-view. I'm tuning in, Drea. It might be so outrageously bad, it's actually good. But the idea of integrating men into female sports. And by the way, I want to be very clear about something. I don't feel the other way. In other words, if you have a trans man, that's a woman pretending to be a man, and she tries out for a rugby team or a hockey team and makes the team, well, you know what? You just found one of the best female athletes in history, because to crack an elite male team as female, you have all the biological cards stacked against you. But isn't it funny, Drea? It's always the other way around. It's a man pretending to be a woman joining a female team.
They'd have to lower the qualifications or something for it to change, to be honest. But yeah.
And I'm sorry, when it's a contact sport like rugby, you're talking about other females getting seriously injured. And I thought public safety trumps everything, but no, not when it comes to trans rights. So we'll follow the case of Harriet Mackenzie in the weeks ahead. I really wonder if this will backfire. Now, somebody that knows something about transanity, as we like to call it, that's where transgenderism collides with insanity, transanity. That would be our good friend Amy Ham. And I think we have a video clip of Amy being refused entry to Trans Talk. Gee, that's not very inclusive, is it?
Check IDs as well.
Okay. I wish it would have said that on the ticket that you needed to bring ID. Okay, I have 2 tickets.
All right.
There's one. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, essentially all we're doing is just checking the name on the ticket and the name on the ID match.
Okay, it didn't ask me to put. I have 2 tickets. I bought one for
That's
me
okay.
and my friend.
It's a new thing.
It's just my ID you need to see, because that's the only one that would be on the ticket.
Perfect. We're gonna check everybody's though. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Sure. I did sign up for a ticket as well.
Beautiful.
That's Amy.
Thank you. Sorry, I just can't see the name. Do you mind taking it?
It's Amy Ham.
Okay, I am sorry. Your friends are more than welcome, but you are not.
Why is that?
Apologize. I'm working security for this event, and so I've been given a list of folks who may or may not be here for the right reasons, and so I'm here.
I thought it was ask a trans person anything.
It is, and so if people have legitimate questions,
We
to
do
ask,
have. Amy doesn't even have a question. I have a respectful question.
I just want to observe.
You're,
right now, if she
like I
likes.
said, you're more than welcome, but unfortunately, Amy is not. So
I'm sorry,
if you have
why am I
questions,
not
that's
welcome?
great. Again, I was informed by the organizers with a list of people who wouldn't be coming with the right intentions, and so this
What
is
does
why.
that mean, not the right intentions?
I think we know what that means.
No, I don't know what it means. Can you
Okay,
tell
well
me?
that is where the conversation ends for me. So I'm just keep doing my bit to let you know that unfortunately I can't let you in, and so this is where it ends.
I'll ask these 2.
I'll just
Sorry, why did you cancel my ticket today?
We're looking for a good faith conversation, and we don't believe that you're interested in one. And so we'll.
Why don't you believe I'm interested in a good faith conversation?
I have a question which I'm happy to reach you.
I just want to observe. I'm not even going to ask anything. I would like to observe the event.
Even your tactics now of pulling out a camera and trying to turn this into a stunt shows why that we refunded your ticket.
Why am I not allowed inside to observe?
Wow.
Woman of the area.
You guys get taxpayer money, so you're not going to let me in?
No, I'm not.
Bunch of fucking cowards.
All right.
Why don't you go in?
There, but that was that.
I think that's good.
You won't let me in.
Sorry, Dre, I didn't catch that.
Well, I was just saying her end point there. They are getting taxpayer money. That is from, I put the link in there. It's called Ask a Trans Anything. The irony there. It was Faye Johnson, who gets a lot of tax money for a lot of different reasons. And there was already a pre-list saying no to Amy Ham. I'm sure Rebel News was on the list. I didn't even know this was happening.
You know, it's amazing. By the way, I thought the funniest part, did that effeminate man, I think it's a man, in the polka dot tank top, did he say he was a security guard?
I don't think that. But, I heard something in the voice that makes me.
It's amazing, but you know.
Was that male or female?
It's incredible because, like you said, if they are receiving taxpayer funds, I don't think they're able on ideological grounds to disinvite somebody in the first place. But here's the thing, Drea. Under the Mark Carney Liberals, do you think this is going to change anytime soon? Especially when the Prime Minister himself has a confused daughter who thinks she's the Prime Minister's son. So the answer, I think, is no. And by the way, how is that going to jive this whole trans rights business with, you know, Muslim values are Canadian values? I mean, they seem at, you know, opposing ends to me.
Well, you know, I think there are signs that even under Carney, there is a shift towards reality happening here in these things. I wanted to point out, I was trying to sort of interrupt you, but I was saying, look, the bandana on the neck, perhaps hiding an Adam's apple, perhaps. Or hiding a lack of an Adam's apple, I should say, is what I meant to say.
Oh, I never thought. Are you telling me this dude with the facial hair, he's pretending to be a chick too?
I think it's possible that is a female. Anyway, back to your point, I think we are seeing a shift to reality. It's very slow. If you think of how fast this has progressed to what I would call Canada's religion, LGBTQ rights, it's happened so fast, it's going to take a while to get out of it. But like in British Columbia, and I have a report coming out on here, we've seen that, you know, the BC NDP is in so much debt that it's not funding it as much, not so much because of their ideology, but it is one of the things that they're like, you know what, let's not give SOGI as much funding anymore. So that there too, when Mark Carney was asked, I believe it was by True North at the time, Alex Zoltan asked, you know, how many genders were there? What did he say at the debate? He said there's only two sexes. And when he sat beside President Trump, and President Trump, you know, made a dig at, you know, the trans stuff for youth, Mark Carney just sat there and didn't say anything. So.
And even so, Dre, I'm sorry, talk is cheap right now, even when it comes to prisons. Do you know, if I was arrested and I had to do federal time, I merely have to say I'm a chick and I am at the Kitchener Penitentiary for Women. And if you're a fellow inmate, Drea, which is almost impossible to believe, you're so sweet and law-abiding, but I know from interviewing the gals at Cause Bar, some of whom were formerly incarcerated there, if you were to, God forbid, misgender a male inmate pretending to be female, you would be penalized ranging from losing your dessert at dinner time to 1 day in solitary confinement. And this is the direct result of Justin Trudeau allowing this rubbish to happen. And you think of all the vulnerable females that are in a federal penitentiary, and you let literally the fox into the hen house. I mean, again, I can think of no other word than misogyny.
Well, yeah, and also back to the prison thing, it is not that unforeseeable, I think, that I could end up in jail if they keep going the way they go in Canada. I mean, like, it could be going to church or something. I don't know. But yeah, and also disproportionately the men who identify as women and get into our prisons, it's disproportionately they're in there for sex crimes, usually against women. It's horrific.
You're right. Typically, over 80% of these so-called trans women are in jail for sex-related crimes. And by the way, do any of the tall foreheads running the prison system or the federal government, do they even consider that, what if you're being lied to? What if 350-pound Bubba with a beard is saying his name is Betty? What if he's doing so to, get in with females and maybe continue his onslaught of sexual assault? Does anyone even think about that? I know, Dre, I mean, God forbid, a criminal wouldn't think of lying, would he?
It's embarrassing that this is our reality in our country. And that's got to be one of the most vulnerable individuals in society, would be female prisons locked up with a predator who biologically has an advantage to them. So
I can't think of anything worse. You know what? I can't believe how time has flown. It's almost 2:15 Eastern Standard Time. So we've kind of run out of racetrack, but do we have any chats to read, Drea?
we do. The first one is from Alex Greer 7. Donates $3. Thank you very much. And is speaking French. So thanks for that. Says, Je suis Charles Martel. I think I said that right.
I only know no cadeau when I'm checking my lottery tickets, which means I'm a loser. That's the only French I know. So
I remember what je suis means. I think it means I am, maybe. I am Charles. This is embarrassing. But thank you.
Well, Alex, thank you for the donation.
Right. Thank you. You know, behind the scenes, our producer's right on it. It means I am. So it came out of my elementary school knowledge.
Good for you.
Yeah. So thanks for that donation, and donates another $3 as well. And then Sasquatch Chronicles, again, thank you very much, donates $10 and says they are headed to, so I think he's referring to the illegals that just rushed into Spain. He says they are headed to the UK. They have the best free stuff. Spain is like head north. When you get to France, go left, take a raft across the channel, and you are in the UK. Good luck and Godspeed.
You know what? I never thought of that. Maybe Spain is not the final destination. I'm sure they're making their choices, Drea, based on not the availability of jobs are qualified, but which European nation has the best social welfare programs. I just have a hunch that way.
Yeah, well, that's something for us to look out to if we're going down there, is kind of get an eye, like, are they passing through, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah, that's a good point.
All right, then. And I'm sure with the way the UK is going, they'll be welcomed with open arms. They're, you know, the once great British Navy, they're not going to be intercepting any dinghies anytime soon.
Real quick, so to butcher that one comment. So the Je suis Charles Martel, thank you, Dave, with Rebel News, has given this to us. So Charles Martel was a leader of the French forces who defended Europe from an Islamic army in the early medieval era at the Battle of Tours. So that was, now I feel even more dumb.
Well, I think what we might be witnessing right now, Drea, is a tangible example of those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. I tell you, folks, get suicidal empathy, which kind of explains where too many Western nations are going when it comes to invaders who are not culturally compatible with the countries they're coming into. Well, Drea, thank you so much for being my co-host and taking the lead with the David Williams interview. I was so excited. Like I said, I thought it was the Dave the Tiger Williams from NHL fame, but David Williams is a good guy nevertheless, and hope you have a great weekend. And folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to those who made a donation. It's how we keep the lights on. It is a holiday, at least in Ontario. I'm not sure about the other provinces, but we'll be closed down on Monday for Simcoe Day, if it is indeed still called Simcoe Day. I mean, Lord Simcoe, a bit of a white colonialist there. I'm surprised we still give him a day of remembrance. So the next live stream will be Tuesday. That will be the sensational Sheila Gunn Reid and Lise Merle from Saskatchewan. For all those celebrating a long weekend, enjoy yourselves. And as always, stay safe and stay sane.